This video is a quick tutorial on how I made this board. For the idea of this design, I just go out into my computer and watch this tutorial video right here. The first part is to create 2 of these blocks, 2 of these blocks, 8 of these trapeziums, 8 of these trapeziums. Glue 4 trapeziums around a different color block. Do this 4 times. Glue the 4 blocks together, cut through that design horizontally, and then lay out design however you like. Sand it, varnish it, add some handles, some jig grooves, and then get the tutorial on how to do so, and that's inception. But that's how you make the board. Welcome to the video, let's get straight into it. First step is to get a pine square, a marabou square, a pine one of these, and a marabou one of these. Let's start. Got heaps of pine pieces here. We're gonna start by cutting some of them up.
So the first step of this whole project is to grab the pine pieces, chuck them on the table saw, and cut them to about 500 millimeters in length.
So the cross section of this is 90 by 35. I'm gonna create 2 square 35 by 35 blocks. And with the other piece, I'm gonna create as many of these pieces as I can.
So these first 2 cuts that are sliding through the table saw are the 2 squares.
Now these pieces here have to be 65 by 50.
Then I had to cut the other pieces, so I set the table fence 65 millimeters away.
65 cut. Now I'm gonna make the 15 cut.
And then, like I just said, I made the 15 millimeter cut.
So what we have, 65 by 15 pine pieces and the 35 by 35 pine pieces. Let's cut up some more of those and then we'll get into the marabou. Now that I showed you how to get to that step, I'm gonna quickly cut up 6 more of these pieces with these 3 things here.
So if it didn't make sense about where we are in the tutorial, I've cut up 2 blocks and 2 trapeziums, but we need 8 trapeziums for the design to work. So the next few cuts is gonna be me cutting up the remaining 6 trapeziums needed. Now it was time to set the table fence 65 millimeters away from the blade and power through those cuts. Then I created the remaining 6 trapeziums just like I did before, 65 millimeter cuts and the 15 millimeter.
As you can see here, we've got lengths of 2 blocks, 35 by 35 mil. But now we also have 8, 65 by 15 mil. Although something's quite not right. These are missing something. Yes, 45-degree cuts on both sides. Let's go on the table saw and smash it out.
So a collection of all these cuts is just me ripping through them at a 45-degree angle on both sides.
Now that we've cut a miter on one side, we're going to cut a miter on all the other sides. Okay, so we've got our 8 pieces we needed and our 2 squares. That's pretty much it for the pine. Now we're going to do the exact same thing quickly with marabou.
So just repeating the same process, cutting them all up into their lengths.
So we've got 10 marabou bits here. We're going to make these 2 the squares and these the 8 ones of these marabous. I think one really important trick I've learned in my years of woodworking is instead of measuring it again the 65 millimeters, I want to measure it exactly to what this is. Because I flip this up, set that there, and then turn this until it doesn't move anymore. Set that down, and then that's the perfect distance.
Instead of cutting them 65 by 15 millimeters, I went straight to cutting the angle cuts.
So now I've got every single piece except for the 2 marabou squares.
Now the blocks are 35 by 35 millimeter, but the marabou pieces I had weren't 35 millimeter, so I had to glue 2 pieces together to make it a square piece.
Okay, so what we have here is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have our 4 blocks as well. But we're going to cut them perfectly so they can fit inside these guys. So we need to create 2 of these. To create this, we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 white square, that. Okay, so to configure it, it's pretty simple.
Obviously configuring it like that's not going to work, so I had to glue it up and clamp it up. I did that with the 2 pine blocks and the 2 inverse pine blocks.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4 cross-section pieces ready to cut. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna ensure the long side of these pieces are cut smoothly. And I'm gonna jump on the table saw and make some cuts. See all these glue marks here? I'm gonna get rid of all of them.
So I'm cutting 1 millimeter or even half a millimeter off each side to make sure that it's perfectly 90 degrees. There we have it, the 2 pine blocks and then the 2 inverse pine blocks ready to glue up.
Pretty simple. After we've got these 4, what we've got to do is glue them up together. The next step is to cut horizontally through the design. But before we do that, we're going to get rid of these glue marks and make this side flat and this side flat. Might take a while.
So I put it to the planer to get rid of the big chunks that were uneven. And honestly, something's wrong with my planer. So what I did was I got the belt sander and just spent hours grinding to make it flat. So one side was flat and then the second side was flat. I remember it was a beautiful sunny day and it was time to cut through the design horizontally. So here we go, made a few beginning cuts and then set it to 30 millimeters and ripped through each piece till there was nothing left. Once I cut through everything, I set it up like it was before I cut it.
Cutting up all of these pieces here. Okay, so this is how we're going to make the first board, 500 by 350. Let's get the gluing up. Alright, so we want to get rid of these pieces here, but I don't want to do it on the table saw, because otherwise I get too much material and I can't use it for my other chopping board. So I'm going to cut it by hand, man.
After I cut those pieces off, I just sanded everything until it was perfectly flat.
This is looking much better. I think I'm going to bring it up to the table saw.
So this is a chopping board. So I made all the edges 90 degrees. And then with the bandsaw, I made the corners round.
So I'm trying to make this board pristine, super clean, and super flat. We're going to start off with the 40 grit. $120. $100. Now that it's grit to 400, I'm going to varnish the board and sand it again with the 400, the 8000 and 1500, and then varnish it one more time and then sand it again.
But we weren't done yet. We had to cut the handles and then the jig.
Alright, so this part here is pretty exciting, but devastating because I could f the whole design. Basically, I've got this jig here. I'm gonna run the router like this. So here we are, the first board. And finally, the second board. These are the two designs here. I think I like this design much nicer than that design. Thanks for making it into the video. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. I'll see you in the next one.
And here I'm just going to leave you with a few more videos I took of both the boards together. Damn, look at that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and watch some more of my videos. Thanks for watching.